welcome to another episode of Going All In, Get the Edge You Need to Succeed. I'm Dr. Erin McKinley, and today we have another awesome spotlight session with Mallory Mount and guests from the Marshall University Distance Dietetic Internship Program based in Huntington, West Virginia. All right, welcome to the podcast, Mallory. To get us started for this episode, give us a little bit of an introduction to you, your journey to RD, and how you landed in your position with Marshall.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today, Dr. McKinley. We are just so excited to share our internship program with you. So I started my journey actually, I guess when I was about 13, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and I really wanted to do something in the medical field. Wasn't sure what to do. So that actually drove me. I saw a dietitian, a diabetes educator, and here I am today as have had experience as a clinical dietitian, an outpatient dietitian, a diabetes educator. And this is my number one goal, was to come and teach others how to become registered dietitians. So it's been a journey that has been really great.
Right, perfect. So I'm going to let you jump right into your presentation about your program.
Great. Thanks so much. So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us here today. And we are so excited to talk about the Marshall University Dietetic Internship. I am the current internship director, and I just took over this role in August of 2020. So in the midst of everything else that's going crazy in the world, I was also jumping into a new role, which was a little crazy. And today, we're going to focus on our distance dietetic internship. Although we do have an on-site and a distance program, we're going to highlight the distance program. And then I have a few of our current distance interns to talk a little bit more about their experiences in the program. So first of all, I'd just like to introduce you to our faculty. Dr. Kelly Williams is our department chair. She also is the graduate student advisor. So if you are coming to Marshall, you'll work with her to schedule classes on what you need to take and when. She also teaches the Research in Dietetics course and the Administrative Dietetics course as part of our internship program, which we'll talk a little more about. Her area of expertise is food service management and outpatient counseling. Dr. Mary Catherine Gould is our principal investigator of our nutrition education program, which I'll also talk a little more about. Her area of expertise is medical nutrition therapy. I teach three different courses in the internship. I teach a medical nutrition therapy course and then also a diabetes and nutrition management course, which those are my areas of expertise. Professor Tim Bender is our distance dietetic internship coordinator. So he's really the one that works with our distance students through the practicum courses, and he also teaches a sports nutrition course, which is his area of expertise. And then Dr. Amy Gannon is our DPD director, and she is a guest speaker in some of our courses for the internship, and her area of expertise is childhood obesity and lifespan nutrition. And the reason I say all of that to you is to tell you that we have a variety of expertise in our program, so we can bring a lot of that to you. We have a lot of different areas. If one of us doesn't know, then the other one will probably know, and if they don't, we'll always find it out for you. We all still maintain clinical practice in our areas of expertise as well. So we're able to bring, what is up and coming and the new stuff that's out there as well. And then also we are very accessible to students. And, with the pandemic, you have found how accessible people can be being distant. And so we not only use phone calls and emails to talk, but we use Zoom and Teams meetings on Microsoft Teams. So we are very accessible to students. So just to welcome you to Marshall University, most people haven't really heard of us unless you've seen the We Are Marshall movie with Matthew McConaughey, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But we're located in the heart of Huntington, West Virginia. You can see there on the map that Huntington is located in the tri-state area of Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia. And we were founded in 1837, and we are named for John Marshall, who was the fourth Chief Justice of the United States. We have about 13,000 students, so we're a mid-sized school. But as I was mentioning, the We Are Marshall movie is a story of tragedy and triumph. So our football team, their coaching staff, and some prominent Huntington citizens were on a plane back from East Carolina University. When the plane went to descend into the Huntington airport, it actually crashed, killing everyone on board. And so that is a story of that tragedy and then the building of the program and the university. It really is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. Shows you a little bit more about Huntington in our area. In regard to dietetics, we've been educating dietetic practitioners since 1923, and we have practitioners all across the country who are alumni of our internship. So we have a lot of moving parts in our department, and I just want to bring a few of these together to help you understand a little bit better when I say a few things. So at the center of everything is Marshall Dietetics in our department. We also have our family nutrition program, which we call the Nutrition Education Program, that was established in 2008. And this is a grant-funded program where we provide, it's a SNAP-Ed grant, we provide education for physical activity and nutrition to low-income youth in a rural 5-county radius. And so with this, we are providing a direct education through a MyPlate curriculum, but we also will work with them to build school gardens and maintain school gardens, and also will do the Smarter Lunchroom initiative to highlight, those nutritious foods that are in the cafeteria. We also are working on some other programming, but this has been a really great program for our department. Huntingtons Kitchen is our community teaching kitchen. It's also our foods lab. We were just recently accepted into the Harvard Teaching Kitchen Collaborative, which is really exciting. And we have our on-site interns are doing some rotations with culinary medicine with our medical students. So that's really exciting and something we hit in the middle of COVID, but now we're excited to really push forward and move along with that. And then we have the Marshall University Food Pantry, which this serves students, faculty, staff, and also Huntington community members. And so with this, we try to do a smarter pantry, which is sort of like the Smarter Lunchroom initiative, in where we provide nutrient-dense foods. We have perishable and non-perishable items. And we really want to highlight foods that, that college students really want to eat, since that's really our main focus area. We do a lot of education. We have a lot of different signage hanging up on, how to choose nutrient-rich foods. We also provide cooking demonstrations and taste tests so that people, when you get a food, you're like, how do I cook this? So we can show them how to do that and they can taste it. So we have a lot of moving parts. I did want to give you a little history about Huntington's Kitchen, because I think it's just really cool that, not a lot of people know about. Jamie Oliver, I'm sure you've heard of him. In 2009, he had a TV show called Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution. And he came to Huntington because it was deemed, in quotation marks, the fattest city in America at that time. And that's why they came. And they ended up creating Huntington's Kitchen, which has still been around since then. And they also did some education in schools with cooking and healthier choices and things like that. And, it really wasn't flattering for Huntington, with the terminology that was used for us, but it really has been great in regard to being able to educate our community members on nutrition. And now it's our foods lab. In 2016, we needed a new lab, and Huntington's Kitchen was just the most ideal place. So this is about a mile from our main campus. We moved our entire department. So this office space that I'm sitting in is actually above Huntington's Kitchen there. It's about a mile from campus, about a 15-minute walk. So just a tidbit of information that not a lot of people know. So I did highlight here, I have both internships here, but I'm going to highlight the distance internship. So we have participated in the second round match for our internship since our first class was accepted in 2017. And our on-site internship, we typically don't participate in the second round match, but I do anticipate we might this year. But just to highlight, we do accept up to 55 interns nationwide. We do have a focus on nutrition education, and we really want to focus on school nutrition education. And so that is, if you can't find, a preceptor specifically in school nutrition, you can work with health teachers, Boys and Girls Club, after school programs, but that's really the main focus of our internship. And I think one of the biggest things, and the interns can talk about this too, is you get 21 hours of graduate credit. Along with the choice, you also have the option to do 2 additional classes during the 10-month period. So you can get a total of 27 graduate hours during this 10-month period. And then distance interns will finish the master's program this semester afterward. And the reason is the pricing is very competitive, which you'll see here in a few minutes. Even though the master's is not required at this time, almost all of our students complete it just because they've gotten so many hours already. It's just really easy to do. So just to give you an example of some classes you'll take, you will take a dietetic practicum course in 3 semesters, the fall, the spring, and the summer. Also in the fall, you'll take Advanced Medical Nutrition Therapy 1 and Research in Dietetics. In the spring, you'll take the second course of Medical Nutrition Therapy and Administrative Dietetics. And we do have additional courses in our program. 2 that we're currently teaching are sports nutrition and a diabetes and nutrition management course. And we're starting to roll out some additional courses in our program, so that's really exciting as well. As I mentioned earlier, Dr. Kelly Williams is the graduate student advisor, so she'll help you to figure out what student or what classes you need to take. We do also have a thesis option as well, but most of our students don't go that route. But if you are interested in that, then that is definitely an option that we do have. And I always get the question of, well, how do we complete these? Are these all online courses? Are they hybrid courses? And these are all online courses. So that is good information to also know. So just a highlight of what our internship looks like now, with COVID, we've had to be flexible with hours, and our accrediting body has decreased the amount of rotation hours to 1,000. So these numbers might look a little bit different in the future, but just an overview of where you're going to spend your time at. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but in these different areas, our website has really great information on what sort of fits into what category here as well. So I mentioned the costs, and so I did leave the on-site and the distance costs both here, but for residents and non-residents, it's the same for 2 semesters and a summer. So this is your 27 graduate hours and your internship. So that is a super competitive price, and it's something that we are so glad that we can offer to distance students, because it can be very costly to, of course, everyone knows, to do an internship. So I'm not going to go into this in very much detail, but just to say that, when we're looking for an applicant, we're looking for somebody that is well-rounded, that works well in a team. And you can see here that a lot of these are going to be the same for most internship programs. The GRE is a little different. Now, don't stress out if you're going to apply during the second round and you think, I've not taken the GRE. That is okay. You'll have time to take the GRE after acceptance to the program. And also for the graduate school. And I always tell people, don't apply to our graduate school until you've been accepted to our internship, because that's going to save you money. And if you are in the internship, you're going to be accepted to the graduate school. So that is also good to know. And for information, if you're going to apply in the second round match, you will need to know the track numbers that are here. And I left both of those on there. But of course, for the distance track, that would be 783. And you'll need to know that for the DICAS when you submit your application in the second round. So what are some benefits? Well, I'm going to talk about a few, but I know that the interns will also talk about a few, is that you can complete your internship anywhere. You do have the flexibility to really customize your rotations. And so if you decide, I have an area of medical nutrition therapy that I just love and I want to focus on, well, you can focus some of your time there. Or maybe it's a specialty area in community nutrition. So that's really great that you can do that. You also have the ability to establish relationships with employers in an area where you'd like to work. So previously, we've had students that say, I want to move to this state. So I'm going to go do my internship there, and I'm going to meet people that way, and I'm going to see if I really like it. And most of them stay where they have gone. We also have had people that have hopped around. They think, well, maybe I want to go to this state or maybe to that state. And so they hop around. Of course, you have to keep funding in mind, because that can definitely be challenging when you're hopping from city to city. And then also you can finish your internship rotations in less than 10 months. That doesn't mean you're going to finish the internship in less than 10 months because you still are doing your coursework. So at the 10-month mark, you'll finish the internship. However, we have a lot of students that sometimes will finish a month before, and then they will spend time studying for the RD exam or, finishing up their master's courses or whatnot. So typically what we do is for the online courses for the internship, we ask you to reserve Monday for coursework, and then Tuesday through Friday, we have you in rotations. So that is good to know. How do you apply? Well, it's quite simple. If you do have questions, you can contact Professor Tim Bender. He is the distance coordinator. He'll be able to answer all questions for you. And submit your application. You can do that on DieCast starting April 8th at 11 a.m. Central Time for the second round. You be sure to know the distance code, and also you'll have to pay an application fee through DieCast, which is $25. Now, don't stress. I know a lot of people think a distance internship, that sounds daunting, and I don't know if I can set up my rotations. You don't have to worry about that before you submit your application. You don't have to have anything scheduled. Don't even have to have your GRE taken. You can do that after the second round, because we know that this is a very stressful time. And it's a stressful time for us too. We want you guys to apply and feel comfortable and confident in that. And we do review applications very quickly. So we'll tell you, if you do submit your application, be sure to be checking your email that is linked to your DieCast application, because we are going to be contacting you very quickly and you don't want to miss that. So just an FYI. And as I mentioned, our website is really a great place for resources. It's got everything you need on there. So just take a look around, and if you have additional questions, feel free to email Tim Bender. I did want to mention that this was our internship class, not this past year, but the year before, for our distance internship. And we do require, pending university travel policies, students to come for orientation. Now, last year, everybody was really bummed because we couldn't do this. We couldn't get together to meet everybody. But with COVID, we just couldn't do that. So this year, we're hoping that we'll be able to do this. It's orientation is about a week before classes start. So that will be the week of August 15th-ish this year. And you'll be here for 3 days, getting to know us and the campus and learn a little bit about what you're going to do. So we do hope that if you do have the opportunity to become a son or daughter of Marshall, that you will. We would love to have you, and are excited for your journey wherever you end up with your internship and becoming a registered dietitian. So I'm just going to leave this slide here for you guys if you have any additional information that you need. The website is great, or you can feel free to contact. My information is there, and also Tim's information is there if you do have any questions for us.
All right. So we have some interns with us.
My name is Megan Chafin. I am a Marshall University distance intern. I am also a Marshall University grad. I graduated in December of 2019 with my Bachelor's of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics. I had a hard time leaving Huntington because I spent so many years here, and I was kind of torn about doing on-site or distance, but I had this strong home sense that I like to be at home. So I decided to go the distance route, and I have completed all of my rotations around the Central Ohio, Columbus area. So I had decided to do the distance track to make sure I can get that networking around my home area and build those relationships with dietitians around this area. So what it's like to be a distance intern, I feel like I've had a wide variety of opportunities with the selection of rotations, preceptors, locations, the different opportunities, and it made me become more self-reliant. It was my duty to schedule these rotations, make sure I could stay in contact with these preceptors, get these rotations secured, and it made me grow as an individual. If you first meet me, I'm more of a reserved kind of individual that doesn't really stick out, I feel, when it comes to talking with people, but I have had to grow out of this comfort zone and build my communication skills when talking with professionals in different variations of dietetics. So, but majority of my friends are at the on-site location for Marshall's internship, and it made me learn being a distance intern that I do know the information and I don't feel as reliant on my classmates. And I realize that I know what I'm talking about, and I've built that confidence with not only communication, but my knowledge base of dietetics and nutrition. And it was able to network, and I've met people from all over Ohio so far. I've had rotations in northern Columbus area to Portsmouth, Ohio, and I still have more to come. But these relationships and networking has been expanding tremendously. And then what suggestions I can provide to applicants to find preceptors. When scheduling your preceptors and locations to have your rotations, think outside the box. I was lucky enough to network with somebody that is a registered dietitian in Ohio. So she was able to work with me and come up with ideas of what could meet these criteria of each rotation. But I also recommend, if you have a really hard time, I was thrown into a pickle around Thanksgiving break. One of my rotations was canceled due to my preceptor becoming very ill. So I had to act fast because my next rotation was in 2 weeks. I could not think of anyone off the top of my head, so I got on eatright.org and started looking at find a preceptor, and it gives you a list of locations and preceptors that are actively accepting interns at the time. So I was able to do that too. So my advice is not to be afraid to ask for help. I reached out to old classmates. They were able to help me secure rotations, and when coming in contact with your preceptors, you're with them for a long time sometimes, even if it's just a week or 2 or 6 weeks. I've always been able to develop a friendship or a relationship with these preceptors. So it's kind of nice to keep in contact with them, kind of update them how your internship's going, because they're as big of a cheerleader for you as your parents or anyone that's supporting you. And then what suggestions can you provide on scheduling rotations, the order, the type, or the facilities? Personally, I started with my medical nutrition therapy. When I told my friends that, they all kind of looked at me like, ooh, that's going to be tough. But I think starting with that challenge made me stronger towards this part of the internship. M&Ts claim to be the hardest and the more mentally challenging, and makes you think more and be more quick when answering questions. So me coming in, I was reserved, not really sure what to expect. I was thinking, am I smart enough for this? Am I going to do well? I don't know. So when I got to my clinical, I learned about medications, how to do nutrition-focused physical exam, charting, everything like that. And with the case studies, I felt I became more knowledgeable. And I'm using that knowledge that I've gained through my M&T rotations, and I'm putting it towards my classes now, other scenarios. I even have random people message me on social media asking me about some kind of medicines they might be on, or what would my input be on this, or at my food service management rotation right now. They come to me for questions, and I'm becoming quick with answers because I feel more confident because I've challenged myself from the beginning, and I can rely on that knowledge and strength that I've gained from August to now in March. So I scheduled my rotations as M&T, nutrition education, food service management, community nutrition. And then I recommend having a variety of rotations. So each rotation I've had, I've gone to at least 2 locations, such as my M&T, I went to a long-term care facility, and then I went to a hospital. Or then with my nutrition education, I did 2 different schools, and I just try to make sure I had a variety so that I could get different aspects and different types of leaderships from my preceptors. I also think a variety will make you have a more well-rounded understanding of those different aspects instead of having just one person, and you get that one type of experience. And then tips for balancing the internship, graduate classes, and life. I am a very high-stressed individual, always. My recommendation is to take a breath and relax. I recommend giving 1 day a week just to focus on yourself. It may be the only thing you do is your rotation. Make it be that. Just go home, take a nap, relax, drink a cup of coffee, do whatever you need to just to ease your mind of all that overwhelming deadlines and project dates and studying for the RD exam, applying for jobs, it gets overwhelming and you can get burnt out very easily. But you just got to strive for that light at the end of the tunnel. So I would just go work out, do everything that you enjoy doing, because this is your life still. This is your path. The dietetic internship is what you get out of it, what you put into it. So enjoy the ride. It goes by really quick because I remember it being August and now I'm blinking and it is March and I only have a month and a half left. So just enjoy the ride because it goes by really quick.
So hi, my name is Brittany Preen. I'm also a distance dietetic intern. I'm based in Colorado, so that's where I set up all my rotations. But I guess for a little bit of background, so I grew up in Colorado and then I did my undergrad in Arizona and then I went straight from undergrad into grad school. So yes, I do already have my master's and people always wonder why I chose this dietetic internship, but that's a story for a different day. So, but then I went straight from my master's, which was back here in Colorado Springs, and then straight into this dietetic internship program. So as far as answering what it's like to be a distance intern, I literally, the first two words that came to my head were great and chaotic at the same time. So I think Megan touched on this. Like, I really like the freedom of the distance internship because you get to customize your rotations. You get to, I guess, just be flexible and like explore kind of different realms of dietetics that you want, as opposed to like a traditional internship program that's like already set up for you. And then just because of the fact that I'm from Colorado, all of my family is in Colorado. So I had the freedom of like being able to expand my rotation search by going like northern Colorado in Fort Collins or in Denver where my family is, and then south in Colorado Springs where I did my grad program. So I just took opportunities of like, oh, my family lives here, my friend lives here. Like, I'm going to see if I can base a rotation out of that. So that's why I just like the freedom of that. Chaotic just because of the sense that like it's really chaotic up front, like prior to turning in your diecast application. Like it is a lot of work to set up all these rotations and emailing people, calling people, creating the schedule, but it definitely builds your communication skills and it makes you like follow up and kind of, yeah, you just have to like rely on yourself. And but also chaotic just in the sense that I'm like constantly moving around. Like, yes, I set up all these rotations in different areas, but it's just chaotic because I'm constantly moving. But I also just did that to myself. So I set myself up with that. As far as suggestions, can you provide to help applicants find preceptors? The first thing I thought of was clinical. So I guess it just depends on your area. Specifically for Colorado, we already have a main distance internship program through UNC and Greeley. So that was my biggest hurdle with clinical. Just because I am not exaggerating, like I think I literally called over 100 hospitals and then most of them rejected me just in the sense of like, oh, we already have a contract with UNC interns, or we also have like 3 other dietetic internship programs that are already set up. So they'd be like, oh, we already have Sodexo interns or children's interns. So that was my biggest hurdle, or I just didn't start early enough. Some of them were like, oh, we're booked until 2021, 2022 or 2023. So I guess my advice for clinical is just there's no harm in starting as soon as possible. Like just if you feel like you want to call someone, like just go for it. There's no harm in starting early. As far as other rotations and setting those up, I kind of just started with people that I knew. I wrote a list of people that could be potential preceptors, and then I would just start from there. And I actually I did a lot of like cold calling, especially for the hospitals. I did a lot of like just emailing people. I typed in like registered dietitians in Colorado, and a bunch of people with like private practices came up, and I would reach out to them if I saw that their values as a dietitian kind of matched with like mine as an aspiring dietitian. I would email them and just be like, hey, I'm doing my internship. Your values align with what I'm thinking of. Is there any chance I could do a rotation with you, something like that? And I actually got 2 rotations and 2 preceptors out of doing that, so that's cool. As far as staying in contact with preceptors, a lot of them honestly might initiate it. I had my previous rotation actually she was like, yeah, make sure you leave an email or contact information with us so that we can send you any job opportunities or something like that. So some of them might just initiate it, but if you really enjoyed your experience at that rotation or your experience with that preceptor, honestly, I would just say initiate it. Just ask, just be like, hey, at the end of this, can I reach out to you? Like, let's keep in touch. Can I give you my email? Stuff like that. So that's what I suggest, just taking the initiative. As far as suggestions you can provide on scheduling rotations, mine's the complete opposite from Megan's. So I actually had zero method to this. As I was researching a bunch of distance programs prior to turning in my DICAS application, there was one program that said that they recommended their interns do all the other rotations and do clinical last. So for some reason that just stuck with me, but I think it's also because in Colorado, I was really struggling to get my clinical rotation. So I just put it for the last one. And then I also find it very intimidating. So I was kind of scared of it. So I put it to the end. But yeah, I had zero method to that whatsoever. And then as far as, I guess, like scheduling your rotation schedule, I would just say I got really overwhelmed. Like, you're reaching out to so many people, emailing them, calling them, whatever. And then some people get back to you like, oh yeah, I would love to work with you. And some people are like, oh, sorry, I can't. But once you get someone who does, just like start somewhere and just be like, okay, I can start rotations here, give them your hours and be like, does that work with your schedule? And then just kind of build your schedule off of that in a sense. Tips for balancing internship, graduate classes, life. That is really funny because Meg and I did the same thing. Yeah, it gets really overwhelming. I mean, your dietetic internship, you have projects for that. And then the graduate classes, you have homework for that. It does get really overwhelming. And then for me personally, I actually work on the weekends. So I'm just juggling a lot. So I think exactly what Megan said. I picked Saturdays as my day. So just like leaving a day for yourself and just doing whatever like fills your cup up in a sense. So I like to go to coffee shops and like get coffee with a friend, or I like to get drinks with a friend, or I like to go on a hike, like snowboarding. I would just do whatever it is to that like made me happy and recharged myself or refueled myself in a sense. And then if I just happened to want to work on stuff for homework or DI projects, then I would do it only because I wanted to. And if I didn't get to it, that's what the next day was for. But I definitely took a day to myself to just kind of reset. And then another random tip that I thought of, my food service preceptor actually told me this, like when you're in rotations, initiate, just take the initiative. Like if there's something in your rotation that you see that you want to do, or like something that your preceptor mentioned that you're like, oh, I want to look into that a little bit more, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask me like, hey, I saw this, can we do this? And then maybe they'll say no, maybe they'll say yes, but just take the initiative. Don't be afraid to ask. But yeah, that's it.
So I'm going to jump into the 5 questions that I ask all of the programs that come on the podcast. And these questions were put together with the help of my students to make sure I was asking the questions that they really wanted to know. And so my first question for Mallory is, what is one thing in particular that you just really love to see when you're reading an applicant's personal statement?
I love to see their journey, what brought them in to dietetics, their passion for the profession, where do they see themselves going? What are their goals, short-term and long-term? And at that point, your goals are definitely going to change as you do the internship, but I love being able to see where people want to be and then where they end up after the internship. I think that's just a great process to watch.
All right, so my next question is a true or false question. True or false, an applicant's resume should be 1 page and 1 page only. Either way, why?
I don't think it's true. I don't think it's false. I think it is, the more concise, the better, I think. But if that's 1.5 pages, I'm totally fine with that because, a page is not a lot to show all of everything that you have. So I would say 1 page to 1.5 pages would be the most appropriate.
All right. So my third question is, what is one or more things that an applicant may do, and this could be in any dealings you have with them before they apply or in their application or in any communication you have with them. What are some things that they may do that might raise some red flags for you, or you might think this person might not be the best fit for this type of program?
One thing that's not a total deal breaker, but it definitely makes me hesitant is an incomplete application. because I think, if they haven't spent the time to put together their application, how are they going to do in an internship? Are they going to be able to complete everything that needs to be done? So that's definitely one thing that really sticks out in my brain.
All right. So what is one aspect of the program that you're really trying to work on making an even better experience for the interns, even though they are distant?
So this is a difficult question because, as I mentioned, I started this position in August. And so I sort of feel like Megan and Brittany that I blinked and it's March and here we are. But one thing I am right now focusing on is the classwork that they take specifically for my courses. Now, a little history is that these used to be hybrid courses. So we would have the on-site and the distance interns together in the same class, on-site sitting in front of you and distance coming across on our Blackboard network. And when we decided to change these to a fully online program, I'm the one that is, how is this working for you? Give me feedback. Does this work? Does that work? Because ultimately it is your education. I'm just here to sort of guide you along the way. So if something doesn't work, I for sure want to know about it. Or I have people say that this was the best, do not take it out of the class. So I'm always looking for feedback from students, mainly for that. And I know that Tim Bender and I, so it's sort of a weird relationship that I'm the internship director, but he's the distance coordinator. So I sort of like oversee everything, but he manages the distance side. So him and I have talked a lot about things that we want to incorporate into the internship. And I feel like my brain just never stops. I'm like, oh, that would be a good idea, or that would be a good idea. So I feel like I have a lot of fresh things to bring. We'll just see how it plays out.
All right. Well, my last question of the 5 is a 2-part question. And the first part is, what is the 3 best adjectives, descriptors, or phrases that you feel best describes your program overall?
So these are not one word. These are multiple words. One is tight-knit, because I feel like even our distance interns are very, they talk a lot. They support each other a lot. We're always here to support them. As faculty, we're very tight-knit. So I think that word really comes to mind. My second, based on our program, is that we provide a variety of expertise. And I think that's really, really great, because it's not that each of us chose a different area because we thought, well, we need to know this. We chose it because we love it and we have that passion. So that's really another thing that comes to mind. And then the third thing would be accessible. And I feel like no matter what we're doing, you're able to talk with us, and we're able to talk with you. And I just love being able, especially with distance students, being able to connect and learn your story, because even though, I see you, we have online classes, sometimes it's very difficult. But being accessible is another thing that comes to mind.
All right. Well, the second half is very similar. 3 adjectives, descriptors, or phrases to describe your ideal applicant.
So I think the first one would be willingness to think outside of the box, kind of like Megan was saying, the willingness to try, to learn, to jump in, sort of kind of all goes together. The second thing would be professionalism in terms of being on time, attention to detail, respectful to your peers and to your preceptors and your directors and everyone. And the third thing is happy. Be happy that you are, this is a stressful time. And I know that many times that will take over. But just enjoy, like Megan and Brittany were saying, enjoy the ride. And, at this point in your life, what am I going to do? I'm applying to an internship. Where's that going to lead me? And I think just having that good personality and being willing to try.
All right. Well, I have one last question for you. How is RD exam review currently integrated into the program?
Great question. So we currently do a few different things. In our courses, we do practice RD exams. In our practicum courses, we do one at the very beginning of the internship. And then all students will we do a few different things, and I won't go into the full details because that will be definitely boring. We have students review questions that they got right and they got wrong, so they can see some of those areas of where they need to work on. So we do one at the very beginning of the internship. We do one in the middle of the internship, and they do the same thing on that, trying to really focus on where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are. And then at the end of the internship, they have to pass a practice RD exam by 80% to be able to exit the internship. So that has been what we've done for a long time. Now in our, specifically my MNT courses, I have integrated a lot of RD practice exams in quizzes, in different types of scenarios. And then we always talk about those if people have questions. And then the major thing that we have done is we're working with Sage Nutrition Associates, and all of our interns, distance and on-site, are going to be provided for no additional cost, which we're really excited about. An RD review course. So it's going to be virtual, and they're going to come in and do some pre-work with them. And then 2 full days, they get the handbook for everything. They get quizzes, they get access to the platform for, a few months after they finish the internship to really help them prepare. So that's been our major addition, and this is the first year for that. So we're really excited to see how that works.
All right. Well, that was all the questions that I had today. So to close out this episode, I would love for all of you to give a quick little take-home message to potential second round applicants this year.
Well, I'll start off, and I will say, don't be discouraged. Number one, I think that most people think that, I have to participate in a second round match. Don't get discouraged. You are put in this situation for a reason, and maybe it's that you need to come to Marshall. But we keep your chin up, and you're going to be a registered dietitian, and that is so exciting.
So my take home message would be, just like anything in life, there's going to be road barriers. Don't let this stop you. Everything happens for a reason. Just keep on pushing, and everything falls into place. There's a plan for everything. There's a rhyme to every reason. And if all else fails, go herd.
Word of advice to second round applicants. I actually am one of those applicants. I did not match my first round, so I definitely matched second round. I guess my biggest thing is have like a support system. I had all my friends around me. Like I remember the day of second round match day, like I was still researching other programs and looking at what I wanted. And I had my roommates and my friends with me. And so I guess just, keeping a positive attitude and just knowing like you are going to be matched, you are going to have an internship, you're going to be a dietitian. So.
All right. Well, thank you to all of you for being with me today to talk about this program. And for those at home who would like some more information on the distance program at Marshall University, I've included the website link to their program in the description below this video. And as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss an episode with another awesome